Hey, Vinyl Community, Jeff back again. This time we're going to be looking at some recent price drops on Amazon that made me, of course, do my pouncing as I usually do. I've been monitoring my list as usual. People who've heard me for any length of time know I have a program that monitors my wish list, and it alerts me via email whenever something falls below the threshold I have set for that album. I can say, hey, when that album goes below $20, which is about what I normally set my threshold at, unless it's something I know that's never going to go that, like if it's a double record set import, then I may say if this ever drops below $30, something like that. So I set it and then say, let me know. And so that is what happens. And these are some of the ones that recently did that. Now, this first one was mentioned because a couple months ago, quite a few videos ago, at least a month and a half ago, back in January, I believe, into December, January, I picked up an album and I commented about how one of my favorite albums by the band was X, this album. And after doing the video, like as I was posting it or something, and then somebody actually commented on the video and said, you know, that album just got reissued on vinyl by Music on Vinyl, which I had just discovered when I was notified. Anyway, we're talking Leonard Skinnard. We're talking The Last Rebel. One of the albums that was, fell into those 90s time frames, 90s, early 2000s, when, vinyl was not around really anymore. And just, it's one of the newer band releases that I fell in love with. It just was one of my favorite albums back in the day. And I'm like, if only they had that on vinyl. And sure enough, Music on Vinyl released it a couple months ago. November, I believe. This was a November 23 release? So real recently, I think this was the one that I'm thinking of that was from November. So it was right after I made that video, somebody pointed it out. And I'm like, awesome. And so I put it on my wish list. And again, Music on Vinyl, tends to be, they can be pricey. This one's on silver. And it's, the packaging is kind of plain. Kind of missed the fact that on the CD there was a picture of the band, of the individual members. And that's, there's no insert or anything. That's missing from this. So it's kind of a no frills packaging. It's got the front and the back, but the pictures of the band, individual pictures that were in the CD throughout the booklet, which is also missing, is missing. So anyway, so yeah, there's only 2,000 of these made, blah, 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 silver color, limited edition, yada, yada. One of my favorite albums from the era of the early days, and I'm hoping that they continue to put out some of these mid-era Skinner stuff. So the album I talked about the other day was the 1991 album, which would have been the first album after the plane crash and after all that, where the band got back together with as many original members as were interested, and they brought in Johnny Van Zandt on vocals, and they've continued since 1991 to this day, putting out stuff and touring. And this was one of those albums in that mid-range. And there's a handful of albums, all their albums I'd love to see on vinyl. But anyway, I got that. So that was great. Anyway, I had on my wish list. Again, it was up there in the upper 30s, maybe even into the 40s, upper 30s. And then like a couple days ago, it dropped down, at least for a short amount of time, into the 20s. And I thought I better pounce when I can. And this one has a funny story behind it too, because the other day, around the same time I saw this, but right before I bought it, I had it, and I'm like, that's a great deal. It dropped down into the under $20 range. But I saw Gary over at Physical Format Rock and Roll show where he had received a copy of the same artist as VCLT. And it just was funny because it's not an artist that you see mentioned a lot in the VC. And then he mentions it right at the same time that I'm watching it on Amazon because it dropped below $20. And we're talking Doro PESCH. Doro, she's got a large catalog. And most of them have been issued on vinyl, reissued on vinyl. This is one of the reissues from, I want to say this came out, it's a 2009 album that was reissued, I think like 2022 or something like that. Hard to see in this light. And it's a double record set, and it was up there, as you would expect it to be. And then all of a sudden it dropped below $20, and I thought, well, should I buy it? It was like a coupon, they discounted it, whatever. And then Gary showed that, and I thought it was like a sign, but then I still waited a couple of days, and then the price stayed there. The deal stayed there. And so, since I had to order some of these other things, I went ahead and bought the whole package deal. So, yeah, great stuff. Just traditional metal with her vocal stylings. And so, if you're familiar with Doro, if you know, you know, as they say. And like I say, she has an extensive catalog, lots and lots of stuff. It'd be forever to catch up with all the stuff she's got out. And but anyway, yeah. So I grabbed this one. It is on a double record set, and it is a blue and white swirly type thing. Both records are like that way too. All right, cool stuff there. And then the third one that was also one, I mentioned this band not too long ago because I got one of their other ones. So all of their albums, first time reissue on vinyl, like last summer or so. And so it's been about, we're talking less than a year, but it's about that time now where I guess all of a sudden all of them are dropping on Amazon in price. I guess maybe they're clearing out some of the things. And so I'm pouncing and taking advantage of that. So talking about the Flower Kings, The Sum of No Evil. This is just another one of their albums. I don't have the date on this one. Yeah, anyway, Flower Kings, one of the prog rock type bands from overseas. As I'd mentioned in the last video about the album that I showed by them, that I had also picked up because it also dropped in price. Anyway, one of the main singer, guitar player, Royna Stolt, is from Transatlantic, which is the super group that was put together back in the day, back in the 90s, with Neil Morris, Mike Portnoy, him, and Pete from Marillion. So I got involved with that and have listened to some Flower Kings over the years. Now I see that they're putting out the stuff on vinyl, and it does come with a CD also, so it's one of those cool packages. And yeah, Inside Out Records, they always do a great job with this kind of stuff. And, the prices were 40 and above, 30 if it was a single album, 40 and above, but all of a sudden these things are dropping into the 20s or lower. And so, yeah, I had to pounce on this one too. And it's weird. They don't do it. It's not like the whole catalog drops. It's like one at a time that these go out. There is another one that just dropped, I think, a single record below 20. I just was like, let's give it a little bit of a break before I buy some more. But another one in the Flower Kings collection. Actually, the only two of the ones I've got on vinyl. But, it at these prices and stuff, then, we may be able to catch up fairly quick. They don't have too huge of a catalog out there, but they do have, I don't know how many they got, probably a good 10 records, but not like Doro, who probably has like 20 records out since her Warlock days. She's been around since the 80s. Great stuff there. So check it out. You might still find these sales now. If you're interested in any of these bands, go check them out on Amazon and see if the price is still right. You may want to pounce on these too. That's it for this one, though. Thanks a lot for watching. Rock on and rock hard.